At my retirement party, my son raised a toast and said, "To my father, who built a legacy I'm about to modernize." My stomach dropped as he pulled out a contract and announced, "Starting today, I'm taking over." My business partners clapped, but I knew the truth. I smiled, stood up, and said, "That's cute, but you might want to read the fine print first." When he flipped the last page, his smirk disappeared instantly. So, 65 male, just had my retirement party last week. 35 years of blood, sweat, and sacrifice building my construction company in Chicago. I built it from the ground up, literally. Started with a beat-up pickup truck and a couple of guys who trusted me. We poured driveways and laid bricks until we had enough clients to get a small office. I was never flashy, but I was proud of what I'd built. We became known for honesty, solid work, and finishing jobs on time. I named it Hartley Contracting. Simple, strong. My last name. It meant something. Now, my only son, Nick, 34M, started working with me right after college. Smart kid. Always had a sharp eye for tech, marketing, and numbers. I thought, great, he's the future. I brought him in slow. Taught him everything. From site management to bids to handling angry clients when deliveries ran late. It took him a while to get his hands dirty, but he got there. Or so I thought. About a year ago, he started pushing this whole modernization thing. Wanted to digitize the workflow, automate payroll, outsource more labor to temp services. "It's faster, Dad," he'd say. "Cheaper." I was skeptical. That's not how we earned our name. But I figured, he's got fresh ideas. Maybe that's good. We compromised. I gave him space to test out some stuff, kept him involved in meetings with our longtime clients, and slowly transitioned some power. That was the plan. The retirement party was held at a nice banquet hall near Lincoln Park. Classy place, all white tablecloths and wine glasses you have to hold by the stem. My wife, Sarah, helped plan it. Old crew showed up. Retired foremen, project managers, even our concrete supplier from Naperville. A few city guys too, inspectors we'd worked with forever. My best friend, Dave, gave a toast that nearly had me in tears. 35 years is a long damn time. Then Nick stood up. He raised his glass and said, "To my father, who built a legacy I'm about to modernize." Everyone laughed. I smiled, but my stomach dropped a little. Something about the way he said it. Not a joke. Like a statement. A line being drawn. Then he pulled out a stack of papers. "This," he said, "is the new direction of Hartley Contracting. Starting today, I'm officially taking over." Claps, cheers. Some people didn't really get what he was saying. I sure as hell didn't. My wife looked at me like, "What the hell is going on?" Nick smiled wide. "I've been working with our board of advisors and legal team to make the transition as smooth as possible. This is our future." Hold on. Our board? Legal team? We don't have a board of directors. We never did. I stood up, still holding my champagne glass, trying to keep my face calm. "That's quite the surprise," I said. "Mind if I take a look?" He hesitated, then handed the contract to me in front of everyone. A full damn packet. Looked professionally drafted. I sat down, flipped through, page after page. And my blood started to boil. He'd redrafted ownership shares, moved decision-making authority to a strategic executive committee, which didn't include me, and restructured profit distribution. There was a clause that basically put me on a consulting role-only basis, starting immediately. No control. No vote. Nothing. And then I saw the names. The partners listed on this committee were some of our longest-standing clients and two guys he'd brought in from an outside venture capital group 6 months ago. They clapped when he announced the takeover. They knew. I didn't. I looked up. The smile never left his face. "This is cute," I said. I kept my voice low and calm. "But maybe you should read the fine print." His smile flickered. "Dad, I think you're overreacting." "Page 17, I interrupted. "Read it. Out loud." He flipped. "Slower now." I scanning the page. Then he got to the paragraph. His face changed completely. I saw his whole body stiffen. "Let me explain. A year ago, when he started pushing for more control, I had our attorney update the company bylaws quietly. We added clauses requiring full shareholder approval, mine, for any transfer of power, structural changes, or sale of equity stakes. I never announced it. I just made sure it was signed, notarized, and buried deep where it belonged. I also never added him as a majority stakeholder. He was still on payroll, technically. A high-paid exec, but not an owner. Nick read it again, and then again, like maybe he'd misunderstood. This isn't valid, he mumbled. Oh, it is, I said. I stood up, looked around the room. This company will be modernized one day. Maybe by you. But not like this. Not with deception. Not without family consent. His hands were shaking. You had me working like a dog and never even made me a partner? You wanted to skip the line and walk in as king, I said. This company was built on sweat. Not shortcuts. Not backroom deals with hedge fund guys. The room was dead silent. Someone near the back let out a low whistle. His business partners, those VC guys, were whispering now. One of them stood up and left. The other followed. I watched them walk out without saying a word to Nick. I handed the papers back to him. This is between us, I said. Not your audience. You want to talk? We'll talk. Privately. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stood there, completely deflated. I walked out. Sarah followed. Dave too. We haven't spoken since. I'll tell you what happened next, but I need a break first. I built this company with my own two hands. Watching my son try to hijack it in front of friends and family wasn't just shocking. It was betrayal in its rawest form. Part 2 coming soon. And yeah, it gets worse. So, after the disaster that was my retirement party, I didn't sleep for 3 days. I walked around the house like a damn ghost. My wife, Sarah, tried to talk to me, but I couldn't even put into words how blindsided I felt. My son, my own flesh and blood, staged a boardroom ambush during a celebration that was supposed to honor everything I built. I didn't just feel betrayed, I felt embarrassed, humiliated, and it got worse. 3 days after the party, I get a call from Janet, my assistant of 15 years. She's been with me through everything. Deadlines, lawsuits, client walkouts. She's loyal, and she sounded rattled. Hey, she said, I think you need to see something. I met her at the office that night, after everyone left. She handed me a folder. What is this? I asked. It's what your son's been working on behind your back for over a year. Inside were copies of emails, contract drafts, wire transfers, all of it printed and organized in Janet's neat handwriting. I flipped through page after page, internal memos between Nick and the two outside investors, plans to restructure the company post-transition, even notes from pitch meetings he'd had with tech firms I'd never heard of. But the worst part? There were 3 invoices made out to a woman I didn't know. Vanessa Russo. Payments from a dummy consulting firm, registered under Hartley Innovations LLC, a name I never approved. It was clearly Nick's doing. I looked her up. She wasn't in construction. She wasn't in tech. She was a 28-year-old business strategist with 50K Instagram followers, all photos of beach vacations and rooftop bars. And her tagged photos? Nick was in them, arm around her waist. Drunk, shirt unbuttoned, grinning like he didn't have a wife and 2 little kids at home. Yeah, my son was cheating. On his wife. Using money he'd funneled through MY Company. Through MY name. I took a deep breath. My pulse was pounding so hard I thought I might actually pass out. Why are you showing me this now? I asked Janet. She looked me dead in the eye. Because I tried to warn you 6 months ago, and you said, he's just being ambitious. But now? He's not just going after your business. He's dragging your name into a scandal you didn't sign up for. I nodded. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. I didn't go straight to Nick. I went to his wife, Melissa. Now before you judge me, let me say this. Melissa is like a daughter to me. She gave up her own career to raise their kids, to support Nick while he found himself in his 20s. And I couldn't, in good conscience, let her keep living in the dark. We met at a diner near her kids' school. I slid the folder across the table. Told her to read it slowly. She did. Her hand started to shake about halfway through. She didn't cry. She just closed the folder, handed it back, and said, "Thank you for telling me." I knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to believe it. Then she asked me a question I'll never forget. "Is this why you didn't give him the company?" I paused. Then I said, "This is why I can't." She nodded, got up, kissed me on the cheek, and walked out. 3 days later, Nick called me. Middle of the night. Probably drunk. "You told Melissa," he slurred. "You ruined my marriage." I stayed quiet. "You think you're the only one who's ever worked hard?" "I'm trying to grow what you started, Dad. You're too old to see it. You're stuck in the past." I finally spoke. Calm. Cold. "You didn't just betray the business. You betrayed your family. You don't get to lecture me about hard work when you're using company money to sleep with Instagram influencers and pitch vaporware to investors. You're reckless. You're not ready. Then I hung up. My lawyer, Don, who's also a close friend, calls me. Hey, he says, we need to talk. Urgently. He sends me a secure link. Bank records. Offshore. Cayman Islands. There's an account under Hartley Strategic Fund. For $120,000. Withdrawn in chunks. Routed through shell companies. Registered under Nick's name. You want to talk betrayal? Try finding out your son not only tried to steal your company, but he was already laundering money through it. And then try to act normal when your neighbors wave good morning. I'm sitting on something big now. Legal big. And yeah, I've already contacted the IRS. SEC too. Because I'm not going down for crimes I didn't commit just because my son wanted to play CEO. But it gets even worse. A few days ago, Nick showed up at my house. No warning. Just knocked on the door like nothing happened. He looked wrecked. Unshaven, bags under his eyes, smelling like cigarettes. I messed up, he said. I need help. I didn't say anything. Just stared at him. He dropped to his knees on my porch and started crying. That's where I'll leave it for now. There's a storm coming, and we're both in it. But only one of us has an umbrella. Nick didn't come by just to cry. He came because he was cornered. After he left my porch, I called Don again and told him everything, how Nick showed up, what he said. Don's a straight shooter. He's trying to get ahead of something, Don said. You need to prepare. Whatever he's hiding, it's bigger than you think. 2 days later, I found out just how right he was. I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a plain envelope, typed label. Inside was a single page with 2 lines. Check the office security footage from February 18th. And ask Nick what really happened with the Jackson contract. No name. No explanation. Just that. Now let me back up. The Jackson contract was a huge deal. A $12 million downtown renovation project. A historical landmark building. We won the bid after months of negotiation. I was supposed to lead it, but Nick insisted on handling it solo as a show of leadership. Back then, I agreed. Now, I had questions. So I did what the letter said. I called Janet. Do we have office footage from February? I asked. We should, she said. That's around the time Nick was locking himself in your office all day. Exactly. We pulled up the footage together. It was late at night, past 10 p.m. The building was empty. But the footage showed Nick coming in with Vanessa Russo. They weren't just talking. She had a laptop. He had a briefcase. They plugged into my office desktop. Copied files. I could see it on the monitor through the camera's angle. Vanessa took photos of physical documents, bid sheets, financials, subcontractor lists, pricing breakdowns, everything. They were building something of their own, not modernizing my company, cloning it. Then I remembered something Jackson's lawyer had asked weird questions during the final contract phase. They pulled out last minute, said the numbers didn't line up. We lost the bid. I called Mr. Jackson himself. Mind if I ask why you really dropped us? I said. There was a long pause. I'm surprised you're asking, he said. Your son told us you were stepping down due to health problems. That you were unfit to manage such a large job. My heart stopped. He said what? He said you were forgetting names in meetings, missing deadlines, slurring your words. Frankly, he made it sound like you had early-stage dementia. I couldn't even respond. That little bastard went behind my back, lied to clients, sabotaged the company's biggest deal, just to push me out. And people believed him. Because he had just enough charm, and I was just old enough to make it sound real. But it still wasn't over. The day after I learned all this, I got another shock. Janet called again. You need to come in, she said. Now. I drove straight to the office. She met me at the door with her phone out. Watch this, she said. She played a video, a screen recording from a hidden camera she had installed 6 months ago in her office because she'd suspected someone was snooping through her desk. It showed Nick going through her drawers, reading her notes, taking photos of documents. But it gets worse. At one point, he took out a USB drive, plugged it into her computer, and copied a folder labeled Client Master File. That document included every client's contact info, deal history, special rates, the whole heart of our operations. He didn't just want to run the company. He wanted to replicate it. Somewhere else. As his own. And then the biggest twist hit. Don called. You're not going to like this, he said. We pulled Vanessa Russo's phone records. She wasn't working alone. Meaning, She's linked to a startup called Urban Axis Construction. It's new. Funded by, get this, the same two venture capital guys Nick introduced last year. The same ones at your retirement party. They were building a rival company. Same clients. Same strategy. Same branding. And Nick had been feeding them data for over a year. They planned to take the guts of Hartley Contracting, everything I built, and plug it into a shiny new shell. My legacy. Hollowed out and hijacked. I still haven't confronted him again. Not directly. But I've made moves. Froze all internal access to our digital systems. Issued a cease and desist to Urban Axis. Filed for breach of fiduciary duty with corporate counsel. And Melissa, Nick's wife, filed for divorce. Turns out, that folder I gave her? She handed it to her lawyer. They're seeking full custody of the kids. Nick's house of cards is falling. Fast. And the worst part? I keep thinking, what if I hadn't opened that letter? What if I'd just signed that contract at the party? What if I'd smiled, shook his hand, and walked away? This story isn't done. Not even close. Because now I'm not just protecting my company. I'm protecting my name. And when this is over, there's going to be nothing left of his modernization plan but smoke and shame. I didn't sleep the night before the confrontation. I lay awake in the guest room. Sarah had asked for space after everything started unraveling. I don't blame her. She couldn't look at Nick without seeing the damage. Not just to the business. To our family. The kids, the lawyers, the silence. It was breaking her down. And me? I felt like I'd aged 10 years in 10 weeks. But I wasn't done. There was still one thing left. To hear it from his mouth. To make him look me in the eyes and tell me why. So I called him. Let's meet. Just you and me. Conference room. 1 hour. He showed up. Not in a suit. No flashy watch. Just jeans and a hoodie. Like he wanted to remind me he was just a kid again. But I knew better now. He walked in and sat down across from me. Smirk gone. Bags under his eyes. Hands jittery. Why'd you call me? He asked. I didn't answer right away. I pulled out a stack of documents. Laid them on the table. Photos. Emails. Bank records. Security footage stills. The works. He stared at them. Didn't touch them. Didn't ask what they were. You know what this is? I asked. He nodded slowly. I know. I leaned forward. So say it. Tell me what you did. Silence. You owe me that much. He looked away. Then he whispered, I tried to build something better. Faster. I wanted to be out from under your shadow. By stealing everything I built? You wouldn't let go. Because you weren't ready. And now? You've destroyed everything. He slammed his hand on the table. You never gave me a chance. I stood up. A chance? You had 15 years of chances. I mentored you, protected you, covered for you when you missed meetings, screwed up bids to hell. I gave you the goddamn keys. He looked like he wanted to yell back. But he didn't. He just broke. Sat down hard. Buried his face in his hands. They were going to cut me out, he mumbled. The investors. They said if I didn't get full control, they'd go with someone else. So I panicked. I tried to force it. And the money? He didn't answer. And Vanessa? Still silent. Sarah walked in right then. I didn't know she was coming. Janet had called her. Said I might need backup. Sarah looked at him. Looked at me. Then said, quietly, your kids are asking why you're not at home. What do I tell them? Nick started crying. Not loud. Just shoulders shaking. I shut tight. Sarah walked over and put the folder in front of him. You fix this, or we're done. And then she left. The next 72 hours were chaos. The investors pulled out. Urban Axis folded overnight once we hit them with legal firepower. Melissa filed the divorce paperwork. Full custody, no visitation until further notice. Nick? He didn't fight back. He moved into a rental apartment out in Oak Park. No job, no money, no plan. He called me once. Dad, I'm sorry, he said. I didn't say much. Just listened. Then he said, do you think I can ever earn it back? I said, I think you need to stop worrying about earning something and start learning how to be someone. We haven't talked since. Sarah and I are trying to pick up the pieces. She goes to therapy now. Says the betrayal didn't just come from Nick. It came from how blind we both were to it. That hurts to hear, but she's not wrong. Janet stayed. So did most of the crew. We're rebuilding. Smaller now. Tighter. No frills. Just the basics. I go in twice a week. Not as a boss. As a mentor. Quiet. Watching. Helping. Letting others take the lead this time. But the right people. People who earn it. I used to think legacy was about buildings, contracts, money, something you pass down with your name on it. But I was wrong. Legacy is what people remember about how you lived. I lived trying to build something good. My son tried to cut corners and wear my skin like a suit. He lost everything. And maybe one day, he'll rebuild himself. But me? I walk a little slower now. Trust a little less. But I sleep better knowing I didn't go down quiet. I stood up. And I still have my name. That's enough for now.